Jimmy Butler wants to get to the Suns. I don't think that would stop the Heat from trading him to somewhere else, considering how ugly all of this has gotten. But is there another team that you think that you can come up with that should be in on the Jimmy Butler business?
I mean, I think teams like, Memphis, Milwaukee, I think are teams I would, be looking at it. It's hard in this instance when you kind of look at the whole thing of like how much does Jimmy have left, but you also know he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's going to be playing. That's kind of the best Jimmy is an angry Jimmy. I think there's a lot of interesting things with that, but also if you're not Phoenix, is he going to be happy or is he going to be just as big a pain in the ass as he's been with Miami? And I think that's got to be something you got to calculate if you're these teams that are wondering, like, hey, are we going to really take a swing on trading Jimmy and giving up assets? This is going to cost a lot to get him. Is it really worth it if we're just going to kind of inherit another team's asshole?
Right. It's
tough. Language, but
no, it's fine. It's totally okay here. It's a great question, and to me, it comes down to how desperate are you, right? And if you're a team like Milwaukee, it's like, yep, we're pretty desperate because we'll inherit your asshole if it means we get to keep our superstar in Giannis, because there is real intrigue as to whether Giannis will ever ask out. And every time that storyline has percolated a little bit, the Bucks have made a big move. They traded for Drew Holiday a few years ago. That led to a championship, obviously. Start percolating again. They make the big Damian Lillard trade. And when they traded Drew Holiday for Damian Lillard, the whole idea of nostalgia or feel-good vibes or anything, that went out the door. So if you don't think that they would trade Middleton, they would trade him in a heartbeat if they thought it would really move the needle for them. I don't know if that necessarily means for Jimmy Butler, but I think if it was for the right player that they thought moved the needle, I don't think that would stop them at all, given their even despite the history that Middleton has in that organization. But it would be really easy. And to the other point too is, I guess, like, I don't know that you're going to have to worry about Jimmy Butler as long as you get him that extension. And that's why I think the not Memphis stuff is out there. I'm assuming that the Grizzlies have communicated, like, we're just not going to give you that extension. Maybe they would treat Jimmy Butler as some sort of rental. And that's obviously not cool with Jimmy. Just look at the Miami situation. So if the Bucks are said, we trade for you, we'll also give you the 2-year, $113 million extension. Probably not the worst thing in the world, right? If you're the Bucks and you say, well, we got Giannis under contract. We deal with 2 more years of Jimmy Butler. We still have Damian Lillard. It does fit our timeline, whatever that might be.
Yeah, no, it makes sense for the Bucks, but I'd also just say that teams it's going to get interesting as we get closer to the deadline. We're at, January 24th right now, or 23rd. We'll see where we're at, February 3rd, and what's the situation, and does Memphis change their mind, or do they communicate we would be willing to give the extension and things like that. But right now, Jimmy's locked into Phoenix. Like, that's really his main focus with all that, and we'll see how it goes. It's going to be very difficult for that to work out with Phoenix, unless they find a way to get Beal somewhere where he wants to be. And there's just overcomplicated with that. I'm sure that's been talked ad nauseum on every podcast with the no trade clause and things like that. But it's just interesting with Jimmy. He can help a lot of teams, but also we got to remember what you're paying for. He's 36 years old. He load managed a whole bunch last season, still got hurt. It was a bit of a freak accident, but still got hurt. It's not like, you want to extend him for 2 more years, 3 more years. So you're going to pay him when he's 38, 39 at 50 something million. That's tough, man. That's really hard. And so I think the contract more than anything would scare teams. It would scare me away as a GM if I'm a certain situation, it's just not something I would feel like I'm so confident that I'm going to get my value back out of this.
Right, which is, I go back to desperate, right? That's why teams like Phoenix and even Milwaukee, they keep coming up. It's because they're already sort of pot committed. What's another $50 million for a guy who's 36 years old and injury prone, right? When you kind of look at those rosters. So I have a Jimmy Butler trade. It's a great one. No holes. I don't know why it hasn't happened already, as you'll, I'm sure, agree with me. The Phoenix Suns get Jimmy Butler and Patrick Williams. We got 4 teams here. It's the Heat, the Raptors, the Suns, and the Bulls.
Okay.
So the Suns get and the Suns. This would probably have to happen in 2 parts, but that's you could probably do the Patrick Williams part of this first, and then the rest of it second. But this is essentially the parts that move. The Phoenix Suns get Jimmy Butler and Patrick Williams from Chicago. The Bulls get Bradley Beal, Yusuf Nurkic, a 2025 second from Portland via Toronto, and Indiana's 2026 first, again coming over from Toronto. The Raptors get Zach LaVine, and the Heat get Bruce Brown's expiring, Chris Boucher's expiring, and Kelly Olynyk reunites for another. He's under contract for next year. So if you're the Heat, you get the salary cap relief you're looking for. The Suns got those 3 picks. They move those around however they need to get moved. 2 of them go to Miami. Another one, wherever they got to go, they go. But if you're the Heat, you're getting the cap relief. If you're the Suns, you're getting the guy you want, Jimmy Butler. You're also getting off of Yusuf Nurkic, who doesn't play a role for you. You get to take a flyer on Patrick Williams. And if you're the Bulls, you add Bradley Beal, who's not as good as LaVine, but you're getting a ton of these picks. Maybe you're getting these picks. Maybe you got 1 or 2 of them coming over from Phoenix. And then you're swapping out Williams' long-term contract, which is like for 5 years, for Nurkic, who just has less money owed on his deal. So you get off that bad deal. And that's the trade. And if you're the Raptors, you get Zach LaVine, who's kind of a perfect player to put next to Scotty Barnes. I kind of like that fit a lot. What do you think?
I think if you're the Raptors, you run into trouble with LaVine being unhappy, being sent there.
Okay.
I think, if he's going to get traded, he wants to go to a place that's going to have a chance to really win. They're not going to win this year. They're just so far out of it. Even with LaVine, they can go on a 15-game win streak, and I think then it's still a playing team with that. I think, listen, it's an interesting one. There's got to be a lot more to work through it. I'm not sure I fully understand the Pacers side of it. Who are the Pacers getting?
Oh, the Pacers aren't getting anybody, but Toronto owns their 2026 first, so that's why that's involved in the deal.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I got confused. It was a lot of teams. Wes.
It was too much. I should have put it on a graphic for you. So yeah, the Bulls. So the Raptors the Raptors currently own Indianapolis. Why do I keep doing that? The Raptors currently own Indiana's 2026 first, so they just moved that over to Chicago.
And the Heat are getting no picks out of that. They're only getting cap relief.
So what I didn't include in this were the 3 picks that Phoenix just got. So some of those move to Miami. Maybe another one moves to Chicago to really make it worth their while to take Beal. So let's say like one of those Phoenix picks goes to Chicago, 2 of them goes to Miami. So Miami's now getting 2 first-round picks.
Okay, so now I'm okay with that a little bit more. I think that's fine. It's just interesting. I don't know. A lot of moving parts. I like your reasoning with the Bulls in terms of just, they get Beal, they reunite Beal with Billy Donovan. Then you have
I didn't even think about that part. Yeah.
You have you get Nurkic, so you have a bad contract, but you're getting off of money quicker because you moved out a longer deal. You're
getting like 3 or 4 picks in this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got to find a way to spin Vooch off to somebody else, and then maybe to the Warriors, like earlier we talked about. But like, I think it's an interesting one. I don't know if it gets done, but this is also one. This is the type of thing and move the Raptors need to be making. They need to jump into these things and being like, we can help you.
Right.
Let us get we need to get something out of it as well, but we can jump in on that. Same for the Bulls.
And they'd be stealing LaVine here. It cost them 2 picks that aren't their own. And LaVine is good. He's not so good that it would take them out of the tanking conversation, right? Like, he's not going to dramatically take that. But next year, when you've got one of these picks in this draft that everybody's excited about, you've got LaVine coming back next year. You got RJ Barrett there. Maybe you still have Jakob Poeltl. You obviously have Scotty Barnes. Like, you could kind of do like a real quick kind of Pistons turn and be right back in the mix next season, I think, if you have a guy like LaVine there.
Yeah, no, it's something that's I don't know if you could be right back in the mix, but like you'll be in the running for some stuff and maybe can bring in another guy. I just hope LaVine's happy. If I just hope you get LaVine happy in that sense.
Isn't that what we all want? I just want Zach LaVine to be happy.
Well, for Toronto, if you trade for him, I want the guy to be happy. That's kind of my view of it. So, but that's a good one. That's a great way to end the pod on a massive one right there. That's a lot of stuff. You did some work on that one because that was a hard one, I imagine, to put together.
Mo,
how long did it take you?
I was just gonna tell you. I feel like I started on it last night, and I finally got to it probably about half an hour before we started recording.
Yeah, it's that one took work. That one took work. That was a hard. And by the way, that's the way it goes
I'm
in a
proud
lot
of
of
it, man.
these with a lot of these things. Yeah. So
Look, if it was easy, the trade would have already been done. This is so they should,
well, you have the Beal no trade clause, so you have to still. I don't know
also
how you
that.
how you got Beal to make that happen, Wes. I don't know what phone call you
You
made to
already said
Beal.
it. I mean, Billy Donovan made the call. He's like, "Hey, bud, remember UF?